Those are blood leeches? Nuo Qinglin cried out in alarm. Han Li's eyes flickered with confusion, and Nuo Yifan quickly explained that these leeches could burrow into a host's body and fuse directly with their blood, rendering them nearly impossible to expel. Once inside, they would devour the host's blood, form malignant blood tumors, and finally self-detonate, killing both host and parasite alike. Tiny and lightning fast, they were lethally dangerous, though fortunately difficult to cultivate, meaning the insect race could not possess many of them. Han Li nodded slightly, about to respond, when his expression suddenly changed. Without hesitation, he seized Nuo Yifan and shot away from the floating black platform in a streak of azure light. Nuo Qinglin and the other leaders reacted a heartbeat later, scattering in all directions. In the next instant, the ground beneath the platform erupted violently. A colossal maw burst forth. It was the giant sand beast from earlier. With a single gulp, it swallowed the entire platform whole. Most of the tribal leaders escaped by a hair's breadth, but several true immortal stage chiefs were too slow and vanished into the beast's jaws. Horrific screams echoed briefly from within before falling silent. The sudden loss of their leaders threw several tribes into chaos, though these forces made up only a small portion of the beast race army. Meanwhile, Han Li and Nuo Yifan reappeared nearly 20 kilometers away in midair. Han Li frowned slightly, while Nuo Yifan looked pale as she hurriedly thanked him for saving her. Back on the battlefield, Nuo Qinglin and the other leaders were enraged and prepared to strike back at the sand beast. Yet the beast ignored them entirely. Erupting from the ground and charging straight toward Han Li and Nuo Yifan at terrifying speed, Han Li immediately grabbed Nuo Yifan again. Golden lightning flashed across his body as he transformed into an arc of lightning and fled. Even burdened by another, his lightning movement technique vastly outpaced the sand beast. The sand beast roared furiously, countless yellow runes pouring from its body. Its massive form shrank to half its size, yet its speed surged dramatically as it continued the pursuit. "Yifan!" Nuo Qinglin shouted anxiously, about to give chase, but Ulu stopped him, urging that the battlefield below took priority. With Han Li protecting her, Nuo Yifan should survive for now. Nuo Qinglin followed his gaze downward and was startled to see enormous silver centipedes within the insect race army, each nearly as large as the gray skin giants. Though smaller than the sand beast, they were impossible to ignore. Their razor-sharp legs churned through the battlefield as they spewed toxic yellow mist. Any beast race warrior touched by it decomposed instantly, some dissolving into pools of corrosive blood. With the giant centipedes spearheading the assault, the insect race seized momentum. The beast race fought desperately, but was steadily forced back. Nuo Qinglin dispatched a scar-faced Calm Dawn warrior to pursue Han Li, then rose with the other tribal leaders above the army. Though panic reigned after the platform's destruction, the sight of their leaders restored morale among the beast race. At that moment, 3 beast race golden immortals flew forward, led by a veiled young woman. She summoned a bone drum, a bone flute, and a white bone flag, which hovered before them as they chanted in unison. Cold white light spread across the 3 treasures. The earth trembled violently, then split apart as thousands of towering beast bones erupted from below, forming a massive defensive wall before the insect race army. Though the runes engraved upon them were rough and primitive, they radiated overwhelming spiritual power. The veiled woman shifted hand seals, and a crude black badge flew from her crown, carved from a demon beast skull. She spat a mouthful of blood essence into it, causing black light to surge forth and stream into the towering bones. The bones trembled as though awakened, bulges formed across their surfaces, and countless bone spears burst forth, raining down like a storm upon the insect race vanguard. The front lines were instantly riddled with holes. The giant centipedes bore the brunt of the attack. Though their exoskeletons deflected the spears with showers of sparks, the barrage forced them to screech and retreat. At that moment, 4 streaks of light shot out from the insect race army, each bearing golden immortal auras. The veiled woman's eyes sharpened as she struck the bone drum with an incantation. Thunderous drumming echoed as viscous white light flowed into the beast bones. With a resounding crack, the bones shattered into liquid spiritual light that fused together, forming an immense white barrier before the beast race army. Though seemingly soft and fluid, it radiated an indestructible presence. The 4 insect race golden immortals halted before the barrier, revealing a yellow-robed elder, a towering bald man, and 2 nearly identical golden-robed twin women. Surprise flickered across their faces. The yellow-robed elder attacked first, sending 3 streaks of golden light crashing into the barrier. Ripples spread, then faded. The golden light condensed into 3 blade-like golden insects, sharp as divine swords. With a cold sneer, the elder mocked the Calm Dawn tribe's famed treasures, then unleashed dozens more golden insects. All of them merged into a single radiant golden flying sword. He spat blood essence into it, causing it to swell to over 1,000 feet as it cleaved down upon the barrier. A deafening explosion rang out as a deep gash appeared, but it was swiftly halted. The 3 beast race golden immortals remained calm, chanting continuously. The drum thundered, the flute wailed, and the bone flag shimmered. Fallen corpses across the battlefield shuddered as flesh peeled away, skeletal remains flying into the barrier to repair it instantly. Shock flashed through the insect race immortals' eyes. The yellow-robed elder struck again, while the others attacked in unison. The bald man summoned a sphere of radiant white light, within which a squirming, shapeless white mass writhed, an unsettling sight that heralded even greater danger. The bald insect race cultivator extended a finger, and from the mass of white, paste-like substance before him, 6 translucent wings suddenly burst forth. With a sharp tremor, the mass lifted into the air and sped toward the white light barrier. Only then did it become clear that the putty-like lump was no ordinary matter, but a bizarre spirit insect. As it flew, spiraling ice crystals twisted through the space behind it, exuding a bone-chilling cold that seemed capable of freezing even the void itself. Its body swelled violently, expanding many times over in the blink of an eye, and the instant it struck the light barrier, it burst apart without a sound, transforming into a vast cloud of white mist that engulfed the entire barrier. A layer of frost spread instantly across the surface of the white light, causing its flow to slow markedly. At the same time, the 2 women in golden robes swept their sleeves forward, releasing what appeared to be twin clouds of golden light. Upon closer inspection, these clouds were made up of innumerable tiny golden insects, each no larger than an ant, with wings on their backs and mouths lined with blade-like teeth. The moment they landed on the frozen barrier, they began gnawing furiously. Before long, the surface was riddled with countless holes. Though the barrier continued to draw in surrounding skeletons to mend itself, its recovery was clearly far slower than before. Just then, the yellow-robed elder's golden flying sword crashed down once more with heaven-shaking force. A deafening boom echoed as it struck the already ravaged barrier, and several enormous cracks split across its surface, as though it might shatter at any moment. The 3 beast race golden immortals' faces drained of color. All 3 spat out blood from the backlash, yet that they dared not pause to tend their injuries, hurriedly forming seals and casting them into the 3 bone treasures overhead. The treasures flared brilliantly, and the sluggish white light flowing across the barrier sped up slightly. Even so, the 3 golden immortals knew all too well that they could not hold on for much longer. Far from the battlefield, the sand beast continued its relentless pursuit of Han Li. The beast tore through the sky as a streak of yellow light, while Han Li flashed ahead like a bolt of golden lightning. By now, the sand beast had shrunk to less than 1,000th of its original size, its speed far surpassing what it had been before. Han Li had already summoned his thunderstorm wings, and was pushing his lightning movement technique to its limits. Yet he still could not shake his pursuer. The main reason was Nuo Yifan beside him. Burdened with her presence, his speed was inevitably hampered. When the distance between them closed to just several dozen kilometers, a ball of yellow light suddenly descended from above. It was the sand beast's spirit domain, radiating terrifying law power. Han Li's expression flickered as his wings erupted with golden lightning, enveloping his entire body. A thunderous crack resounded as he barely managed to evade, reappearing hundreds of kilometers away with Nuo Yifan in tow. Without the slightest pause, he vanished again in a flash of lightning, emerging above a dense forest. At last, he had forced some distance between himself and the sand beast. Turning to Nuo Yifan, he said urgently, "Leave this place at once, fellow Taoist Nuo. The sand beast's target is me. It won't pursue you." With that, he sped off once more as a streak of golden lightning. "Take care, Senior Lee!" Though her face was pale, Nuo Yifan remained composed. She bowed gratefully, then flew back toward the canyon in a streak of light. Moments later, the sand beast arrived. Sensing its aura, Nuo Yifan's face went even paler as she poured more power into her escape. The sand beast glanced briefly in Han Li's direction, yet instead of chasing him, it turned and pursued Nuo Yifan. She was no match for its speed, and the distance between them shrank rapidly. Hundreds of kilometers away, Han Li's expression darkened in shock. He had not expected the sand beast to be so cunning. He had been unwilling to abandon Nuo Yifan precisely because he needed to remain here. If she died because of him, he would likely be forced to leave. Yet now, with the two separated by such a vast distance, saving her seemed impossible. Gritting his teeth, he stopped abruptly, turned around, and raced back toward her at full speed. Nuo Yifan's face had turned deathly white as the sand beast closed in. In desperation, she produced a white jade talisman and crushed it. A dull thud echoed as a sphere of white light shot out and merged into her body. Radiant white light enveloped her, and a pair of crane wings, dozens of feet across, unfurled from her back, multiplying her speed several-fold. Even so, she remained slower than the sand beast, and the gap continued to narrow. When the distance shrank to less than 100 kilometers, the sand beast opened its mouth and spat out a rope-like strand of yellow light that lashed straight toward her. At that critical instant, a thick bolt of silver lightning crashed down upon the sand beast's head. A massive sphere of silver lightning bloomed, engulfing its head and sending arcs of lightning in all directions. In the same moment, a scar-faced man from the Calm Dawn tribe appeared beside Nuo Yifan in a flash of silver light. "Elder Khatun!" Nuo Yifan cried out in joy. "We must leave at once, young mistress!" The man shouted, wrapping an arm around her waist. In his other hand, he held a silver lightning hammer engraved with a lightning mark, crackling with law power as silver arcs enveloped them both. Yet, just as they were about to escape, a ball of yellow light shot out from the lightning sphere behind them, piercing straight through the scar-faced man's body. The silver lightning rippled, then faded, revealing the sand beast, nearly unharmed save for a slightly blackened head. The yellow light had erupted from its glabella. The man's expression froze as he looked down at the glowing sphere embedded in his chest. It exploded in the next instant. His body shattered into countless fragments that rained from the sky. At the same time, the silver lightning hammer flew from his grasp toward the sand beast, a tiny nascent soul faintly visible within it. The hammer struck in a flash and detonated, transforming into a colossal ball of silver light that shook the surrounding space and unleashed violent winds in all directions. The sand beast was swallowed by the silver radiance, its furious roar echoing within. Nuo Yifan was flung far away by the shockwaves. Tears welled in her eyes as she looked back, but resolve quickly replaced grief. She turned and fled as a streak of white light. Moments later, the sand beast burst from the silver glow, its body covered in wounds, its head completely charred black. It roared in rage, then plunged suddenly into the ground. Yellow light rippled over its form as it tunneled through the earth like a fish through water, re-emerging elsewhere. Its injuries vanished instantly, though its aura was noticeably weaker. Without hesitation, it resumed its pursuit of Nuo Yifan. Han Li appeared in a flash of golden lightning, his eyes filled with shock as he witnessed the sand beast's terrifying regenerative ability. Forming a hand seal, he vanished again in a streak of lightning. At the entrance to Dark Star Canyon, Nuo Chinglin descended onto the fortress below. 2 gray-robed Grand Elders were already waiting. As soon as he arrived, they said in unison, "The preparations are complete, Chief Nuo." Nuo Chinglin nodded solemnly, sweeping his sleeve as a loose purple robe embroidered with golden stars draped itself over him. The 3 hurried to a spacious altar at the fortress's center, forming a triangular formation. Each produced a wooden staff and tapped it against the strange patterns carved into the ground. The 2 elders remained silent while Nuo Chinglin chanted in the true spirit tongue, his voice resonating with the rhythm of their staves. Moments later, he raised his staff and slammed it down. The tip pierced straight through the stone altar. The two elders followed suit. Nuo Chinglin then sliced his palm open with a finger, carving a wound deep enough to expose bone. Glowing purple blood flowed out, gathering instead of splattering, forming a tiny, dark purple serpent that slithered across the altar. Before long, the serpent filled the entire array. Nuo Chinglin's face had gone pale, yet he gritted his teeth and struck the ground once more with his staff. A faint buzzing filled the air as radiant purple light erupted from the altar. A complex purple array projection rose up, countless specks of light dancing like fireflies before converging into a colossal shadow, towering like a small mountain. The colossal shadow remained motionless for a brief moment before slowly rising higher, its form growing increasingly solid and defined. Before its body had fully manifested, a voice boomed from within the array. "What's going on, brat? Has the battle deteriorated so badly that you were forced to summon me?" As the words faded, the purple radiance within the array gradually dissipated, revealing the shadow's true form, an enormous azure-furred fox seated cross-legged like a human cultivator. The fox possessed long, slender brows, and upon its glabella gleamed the mark of a purple star. 3 deep scars ran parallel over its right eye, as though carved there by the claws of some ferocious demon beast. It wore exquisitely crafted azure armor, and 6 massive tails dragged behind it as it regarded Nuo Chinglin with an expression of clear disdain. Nuo Chinglin hastily bowed deeply. "This one begs Master Suliu's forgiveness, but I had no choice. Yifan is in grave peril." "What?" the azure fox roared. "Who dares to lay hands on Yifan?" Its fury surged as the 6 tails lashed violently through the air. "She's being chased by the sand beast raised by the sand-eating tribe's chieftain," Nuo Chinglin said urgently, fear trembling in his voice. "All our warriors are locked in battle with the insect race army, and none can spare the strength to rescue her." Suliu immediately turned, scanning the battlefield as his voice thundered. "What kind of father are you? Nuo Chinglin? Yifan is my pride and joy. If anything happens to her, you'll answer for it." As he spoke, his gaze fixed upon a distant horizon where Nuo Yifan was fleeing for her life, the sand beast close behind. "There she is!" His eyes narrowed. With a tremendous leap, Suliu shot skyward like a soaring mountain, racing toward Nuo Yifan as his 6 colossal tails whipped through the heavens. Below, the Calm Dawn tribe warriors were filled with fervor upon witnessing Suliu's arrival. They chanted his name in reverence, charging the insect race army with renewed ferocity. At the same time, Nuo Yifan fled desperately from the sand beast, panic driving her farther and farther from Han Li. Han Li's brows knitted slightly at the sight, yet he could only press on in pursuit. Suddenly, a deafening explosion rang out as the cliff face before Nuo Yifan shattered apart. The sand beast burst forth from the collapsing rock, having tunneled through the earth, and lunged at her with gaping jaws, already restored to its original colossal size. Alarm flashed across Nuo Yifan's face, but she kept her composure. Spinning in midair, she landed atop a falling boulder and used it as a stepping stone to propel herself away. At that instant, however, a dark red vortex formed within the sand beast's mouth, unleashing a terrifying suction force far beyond her ability to resist. She was dragged helplessly toward its jaws, escape impossible. Just as she was about to be devoured, Han Li swiftly formed a hand seal and pointed forward. An azure bamboo cloudswarm sword streaked over in a flash, catching Nuo Yifan mid-fall. The sword flared with radiant light, sword ki erupting outward to counter the suction force. It then shot away into the distance, carrying Nuo Yifan atop it. The sand beast snapped its jaws shut with tremendous force, only to bite into empty air, roaring in fury. Its massive body recoiled like a coiled spring before blasting into the sky, hurtling once more toward Nuo Yifan. Barely spared from death, Nuo Yifan had no time to recover before danger closed in again. "Don't be afraid, Yifan. I'll deal with this beast." Suliu arrived at that very moment, vaulting through the air and leaping past Nuo Yifan before slamming into the sand beast. The 2 titanic figures collided violently in midair, then crashed down to the ground together. Meanwhile, the azure bamboo cloudswarm sword circled back and delivered Nuo Yifan safely to Han Li. Her face was still pale. After steadying herself, she said softly, Thank you for saving me, Senior Lee. I will surely repay this debt. Hanli simply nodded and beckoned, summoning his sword back to his side. A thunderous boom echoed in the distance. Turning their heads, they saw the sand beast pinned beneath Suliu, struggling in vain. Suliu straddled the beast, his 6 tails coiling around it like enormous azure pythons, constricting tighter and tighter. At the same time, he released his spirit domain, limited in scope yet perfectly enclosing the sand beast. What is that? Hanli asked, surprised. This is Master Suliu, Nuo Yifan explained. The primordial true spirit revered by our Calm Dawn tribe. His cultivation rivals that of an early High Zenith human cultivator. Hanli nodded thoughtfully. He had encountered many fox demons in the mortal and spirit realms, most adept in illusion and seduction. This was his first time witnessing a fox demon with such overwhelming physical might. Of course, as a primordial true spirit that had dwelled in the primordial land since time immemorial, Suliu could not be compared to ordinary demons. Suddenly, Suliu grasped with both hands, black light converging to form an enormous staff, etched with star patterns that glimmered faintly. He let out a thunderous roar. The stars upon the staff blazed brilliantly as a radiant vortex of starlight formed at its tip, which he slammed viciously toward the sand beast's head. Though immobilized, the sand beast twisted its neck, opening its cavernous maw to bite down upon the staff as dark red radiance surged forth. Part of the staff plunged into its mouth, and the starlight vortex collided head-on with the dark red light. Terrifying energy fluctuations erupted as countless specks of starlight clashed against the vast crimson radiance, the two forces seemingly evenly matched. Concern flickered in Nuo Yifan's eyes, yet Hanli calmly reassured her, "Don't worry. Senior Suliu's cultivation slightly surpasses the sand beast's. He'll prevail." As his words faded, golden ring patterns appeared across the sand beast's body. It began to swell, forcing Suliu's tails apart one by one until their restraint weakened. "You won't escape," Suliu sneered. The star mark on his glabella blazed with dazzling light, his eyes turning pitch black as a vision of a boundless starry sky appeared within them. In that instant, his aura deepened, vast and profound like the night heavens themselves. Hanli felt momentarily dazed upon meeting Suliu's gaze, as though he truly stood beneath an infinite firmament awaiting the descent of starlight. All the star patterns on the staff ignited at once, resembling a star-filled sky clinging to it, releasing eerie energy fluctuations foreign to this world. A blinding burst of starlight erupted, condensing into a single torrent that smashed violently into the dark red radiance within the sand beast's mouth. Almost simultaneously, the sand beast finally tore free of Suliu's tails. Radiant golden rings surged from its tail toward its head, gathering all its power into its maw. With an earth-shattering explosion, the two colossal forces collided. Devastating shockwaves swept outward in all directions. The dark red radiance, like the light of a dying sun, shattered completely amid the descending starlight. In the next breath, the sand beast's massive body burst apart into countless grains of sand, forming a titanic sandstorm that roared outward, obliterating mountains and forests in its path. Hanli's expression did not waver as he swept his sleeve, releasing streams of azure radiance that intertwined and formed a luminous barrier before himself and Nuo Yifan. In the next breath, the raging sandstorm crashed down like an unrestrained calamity. Countless grains of sand struck the azure barrier as if loosed arrows from every direction. Yet the light screen stood firm, unmoved like an ancient peak. Yellow gales roared outward in all directions, uprooting forests and flinging sand skyward. In mere moments, an area spanning tens of thousands of feet was swallowed whole, transformed into a boundless sea of sand. Though the battlefield between the beast race and the insect race lay far from where Suliu battled the sand beast, the violent winds still swept across it, plunging the field into near blindness. Weaker warriors struggled just to remain standing, their bodies nearly torn from the ground. And the insect race's advance was forced to slow. This sudden turn was a blessing for the beast race. The golden immortals exhaled in relief and swiftly seized the chance to adjust their formations and reinforce their defenses. Holding the advantage of terrain, several tribes finally revealed hidden defensive methods they had yet to unveil. Not long after, the sandstorm dissipated and the world settled once more, Witnessing their revered true spirit slay such a fearsome foe, the beast race's morale surged. Under their chief's commands, they organized a counterattack and charged forth. Though initially caught off guard by the insect race's ferocity, the beast race now pressed back with discipline, halting the enemy's advance before long. At the heart of the sand sea, the sand beast had vanished. Only Suliu remained, gripping his black staff in one hand while clutching a massive sand crystal in the other. This crystal far surpassed the one Hanli had obtained, perfectly translucent, threaded within by golden filaments that pulsed with daunting spiritual power. Hanli dispelled the azure barrier with a flick of his sleeve. Nuo Yifan hurried to Suliu's side, asking anxiously, "Master Suliu, are you all right?" "Of course. I'm as fit as." His words broke off as blood spilled from his mouth. Nuo Yifan rushed before him and saw a gaping hole in his chest. The surrounding azure armor charred black. White smoke rose as the wound slowly regenerated. Hanli watched quietly from afar. At the same time, Jintong urged him through spiritual sense to seize the sand crystal. She had earlier hidden within Xiaobai's body, but even that extraordinary space had forced her out before long. "Forget it," Hanli replied calmly. "We're relying on the beast race to deal with the other gold-devouring immortal. If we act recklessly now, we'll be driven off and left to face the insect race alone." "It's getting closer," Jintong exclaimed. "I need to hide again. Xiaobai, open your mouth." "You can hide, but don't eat my treasures again," Xiaobai protested miserably. "You devoured a third of them at once. Why be stingy?" Jintong snapped. "Uncle has plenty for us both." "Master?" Xiaobai wailed. "If we survive this, you can eat your fill," Hanli said grimly, blue light flashing in his eyes as he stared into the distance. "If not, this may be our end." "I'm glad you're safe," Suliu said after examining Nuo Yifan. "It's thanks to you and Senior Li," she replied. "This is the human you mentioned?" Suliu asked, turning to Hanli. "Yes, he saved my life twice," Nuo Yifan said with a nod. "Oh, planning to repay him with your body?" Suliu teased. Nuo Yifan pouted in silence. "Humans are cunning, sometimes more so than our fox tribe," Suliu warned seriously. "Don't grow too close." "I understand, Master." Suddenly, Suliu's expression changed. He grabbed Nuo Yifan and hurled her toward Hanli, shouting, "Take her away!" Hanli had already sensed danger. He vanished, appeared in her path, caught her by the waist, and vanished again. Suliu thrust his black staff forward with all his might toward the same direction. Hanli had been watching. Star patterns ignited, silver light bursting forth and expanding into a vast starry sky thousands of feet wide. Then, without warning, a resplendent golden sun manifested before the stars. The golden sphere crashed down like a falling heaven, shattering the starry barrier in a thunderous explosion. Against it, Suliu's staff was as fragile as straw, breaking apart as the countless stars were consumed by the single sun. Suliu roared in agony as his massive body was blasted away, carving a deep trench before smashing into a cliff. Rocks cascaded down, burying half his form. Black blood trickled from his lips as he glared at the golden light, within which hovered a colossal golden beetle over 10,000 feet long. Its aura was terrifying beyond words. Even as Hanli fled toward the canyon, he knew this was the gold-devouring immortal Jintong had warned of. Identical in form to her, yet radiating late high zenith power, Hanli's face darkened, but he fled even faster. "Master Insect Spirit!" The insect race erupted in thunderous cheers. Their spirit insects surged with renewed ferocity, restoring balance to the battlefield. Nuo Qinglin returned and hastily searched for his daughter, only to sense she had already been taken to safety by Hanli. "Hand it over," the golden beetle commanded coldly, still crawling back stronger each time. Suliu mocked through bloodied laughter. "Don't make me repeat myself." The beetle swept its forelegs, releasing twin translucent slashes like cicada wings that vanished instantly. Suliu leapt skyward just in time. Hanli watched in shock as even dust and light along their path were cleaved in two. The cliff behind Suliu severed cleanly as tofu. Hovering in the air, battered and bleeding, Suliu shouted, "Father, this cockroach is bullying me!" As his cry faded, radiant starlight spread across the heavens, and an even more colossal figure began to emerge. Another azure fox appeared upon the battlefield, its body more than twice the size of Suliu's. It wore magnificent golden armor inscribed with countless flashing silver runes, and 9 enormous tails streamed behind it, lending it an awe-inspiring, kingly bearing. Long, slender brows framed its face, and a radiant star sigil gleamed upon its glabella. The aura it exuded was overwhelming, even faintly surpassing that of the golden beetle. "Our king!" Fervor surged through the beast race, golden immortals at the sight of the 9-tailed fox, and the army below was invigorated at once. "Father?" Suliu immediately flew to its side, yet the golden beetle ignored both him and the fox, its golden eyes sweeping the surroundings as if searching for something. Hanli felt a chill as that gaze roamed. Uncertain whether Jintong could truly evade detection while hidden within Xiaobai's stomach, when the beetle's eyes passed over him without pause, he finally breathed a little easier, though he remained vigilant. The 9-tailed fox shot Suliu a stern look, then lifted a paw and sent a burst of azure light into his body. Most of Suliu's injuries healed instantly, and he smiled broadly. "Thank you, Fa." "Stand down." The fox cut him off coldly. Suliu nodded and retreated. "Leave this place at once, insect spirit. Otherwise, I will strike you down." The 9-tailed fox thundered. Only then did the golden beetle turn its gaze upon him. In the next instant, it transformed into a streak of gold and flashed behind the fox, releasing a thick pillar of translucent golden light that pierced straight through its body. The fox stood unmoving, then vanished, revealing the struck body to be nothing but an afterimage. The beetle faltered for a fraction of a moment. An azure flash erupted behind it as the 9-tailed fox reappeared, its 9 tails lashing out like lightning to bind the beetle, while an azure spirit domain unfolded. Black spiritual light coated the tails, starlight flickering as they tightened like 9 black pythons. The fox spat forth a pillar of black flames that engulfed the beetle, detonating into a vast sea of fire in an instant. The heat was terrifying. Space itself warped and trembled. Even from afar, Hanli was forced to retreat, unable to endure the scorching temperature. Suliu also withdrew, delight flickering in his eyes. The fox pressed its assault. A beam of starlight burst from the star sigil on its brow, formed from countless black starlight runes that plunged into the inferno, releasing violent law fluctuations. The sea of fire surged higher, the black flames paling in color, while their heat intensified further. Space darkened and twisted violently, as if it were about to ignite. The golden beetle was completely submerged, seemingly reduced to ashes. Jubilation erupted among the beast race golden immortals, while the insect race looked on in despair. Then the flames churned violently. A rapidly expanding vortex formed, and golden light burst forth from its center. Before the fox could react, the vortex swelled, devouring all the black flames in an instant. The golden beetle was revealed once more, still bound by the 9 tails, golden radiance pouring from its mouth as it swallowed the final wisp of fire. Cheers died instantly. The battlefield fell into stunned silence, Suliu staring in disbelief. How has the insect spirit grown so powerful? It stood no chance against Master Yohu in the last war. Nuo Yifan murmured. "Is that your king?" Hanli asked quietly. "Yes. Master Yohu is the king revered by all beast race tribes, and Suliu's father," she replied. "So they fought before. Does the insect spirit have any weaknesses?" Hanli pressed. "It has an incredibly tough body and can devour nearly any attack. Only spiritual assaults forced it to retreat last time," Nuo Yifan said. Hanli nodded. He knew well the terrifying physique of gold-devouring beetles. Their bodies nearly indestructible, their souls comparatively fragile. As they spoke, the beetle's gaze shifted to the tails binding it. 2 thin streaks of translucent golden light shot from its forelimbs. The fox withdrew instantly, retreating in a blur, yet 2 tails were still severed, blood spraying forth. The fox halted nearly 10 kilometers away, fury blazing in its eyes. It thrust both paws forward. 2 deafening thumps rang out as enormous beast paw projections, one azure, one black, manifested above the beetle. Runes danced within them, a starry night sky forming across their surfaces before they crashed down with immense force. The beetle sneered. 2 golden light bursts shaped like pythons erupted from its body, piercing the paw projections effortlessly before coiling around them and crushing them to pieces. The shattered light scattered across a vast radius. The fox traced arcs in the air. The scattered lights flashed, merging into countless black and azure threads that wrapped around the beetle. Golden streaks burst forth in response, severing many of the threads, though a large number remained intact. Surprise flickered in the beetle's eyes. At that instant, the nine-tailed fox appeared above it. Black light flared as scythe-like claws extended from its paws, slashing down amid radiant starlight. Sparks exploded as golden and black light collided violently. The fox's claws shattered completely, while only faint white marks marred the beetle's back. No blood was drawn, and the fox's expression darkened. Golden light around the beetle suddenly intensified, translucent threads within it emitting tremendous suction. Black light was swallowed on contact as the golden radiance surged toward the fox. The fox leapt away at once, transforming into an azure shadow. Yet the beetle's glow intensified further, like a blazing golden sun. The light expanded outward into an enormous golden spirit domain, vortexes of golden radiance swirling throughout. The fox was caught within it, its speed sharply suppressed. The binding threads vanished, and the beetle fixed the fox with a cold gaze before releasing over a dozen golden law threads. The threads expanded instantly, dazzling with runes, intertwining into a lifelike golden worm thousands of feet long.